All right, you guys. So today we are going to review everything we've talked about with functions and composition of functions, as well as sequences and series. Okay, so super short unit. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Okay, so for numbers 1 through 4, it's asking us to perform the indicated operation. Okay, well, whenever you see this word operation, you're thinking either add, subtract, multiply, divide. Okay, so we are given two functions. So if we look at number 1, okay, we're given our two functions. We have h of x and g of x. Just two functions, okay? Nothing too special about them. It is asking us to add these two functions, right? H plus g of x means add these two functions. We are going to get a new function. Okay, so with addition, I'm going to go ahead and just put parentheses, meaning we're going to add the entire functions together. So 4x minus 3 plus my next function, 3x cubed minus x. Okay, so I'm adding those functions together. With the addition sign in the middle, if you guys remember, okay, that addition sign does not change the signs after it, so they stay the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this, okay, without my parentheses. I do not need the parentheses. 4x minus 3 plus 3x cubed minus x. Okay, because it's addition, those signs are going to stay the same after it. Okay, well now it just becomes combining like terms. Okay, so the only two terms I can combine here are my 4x and negative 1x. Okay, x to the first power. So my 3x cubed is going to stay 3x cubed. Can't combine that with anything. My x's would come next. Think 4x is here, subtracting 1x. Well, that's giving me positive 3x. And my negative 3 that can't combine with anything. So there we go. We have our new function. 3x cubed plus 3x minus 3. Cool. Alrighty, same thing for number 2. We are given two functions. It's telling us what to do with these functions. Okay, this time we see this little fraction here. That means we are going to divide these functions. So again, I don't really need the parentheses here, but I'm going to go ahead and just take my h. That's my numerator. That guy's on top. So I have 4n minus 2 divided by my g of n on bottom, n cubed plus 3n. Okay, now technically, there we go. We are dividing the two functions, but now we need to make sure it's simplified. Just like we did on our last one, we need to combine like terms if we can. Here, we need to think, can we factor? So just look at your numerator for now, 4n minus 2. Okay, what can I divide out of 4 and negative 2, or 2 for this sake? Okay, we can divide out of 2, right? They both have a 2 I can divide out of them. So this is going to leave me with 4 divided by 2 gives me 2n. Negative 2 divided by 2 gives me negative 1. And there's my numerator. Okay, we just factored it. Okay, so now my denominator, what does n cubed plus 3n have in common, or what can I factor out of those guys? Well, I can factor out 1n. Both of these terms at least have 1n, so I can take out 1n. That's going to leave me with n squared plus 3. Okay, and the reason we factor this guy is to now see if anything can cancel out. Okay, unfortunately, the 2 and the n can't cancel out. These pieces are not exactly the same, so this is simplified. Okay, we can go ahead and just leave it like that. Okay, let's look at number 3. Ooh, this guy's a little different. I like this guy. Okay, so what this is saying, notice it's giving us f of t and then g of t. But what this is saying, see how it has this 5 and this 4? Okay, it's actually telling us to take 5, multiply it to your f function, 4, multiply it to your g function, and then subtract those guys. Okay, so a couple steps we got to look at here. So first one, it wants us to take 5, multiply it to our f function. So 5 being multiplied to 2t plus 4. Okay, then we're going to subtract our g function, but we got to multiply that 4 to it before we can subtract. So 4 times 4t minus 2. That's my g of t function. Okay, well, you guys know to distribute, right? Whenever we see a number in front of our parentheses, we got to distribute, got to multiply to everything inside. So this becomes 10t. 5 times 4 positive 20. Okay, now I'm gonna kind of do a 2-for-1 here. If I just treat this like -4, guess what? Then I don't really have to think about subtracting. Okay, so I'm gonna take that -4, multiply everything inside. -4 times +4 is -16t. -4 times -2, positive 8. Okay, and again, now it just becomes a matter of combining like terms. So I can combine 10t with -16t. Okay, well 10 minus 16 is going to give me -6t. And then I can combine my 20 with my 8. 20 plus 8 gives me a positive 28. And there we go. Alrighty, last one. Let's go ahead and multiply these guys. So we see that little multiplication symbol. So I'm going to go ahead and take each one of my functions, put it in parentheses, t cubed minus 3 times my next function, 2t plus 2. Okay, now this should look familiar, a lot like FOIL, the box method we've talked about. Let's go ahead and just kind of condense it. I call it the swooshy, so we're going to take the first term, multiply it to both terms on the other one. Okay, so t cubed times 2t. Did I just say, I don't know, I feel like I said something weird. T cubed times 2t. Okay, well that's just going to give me 2t to the 4th, right? 3 t's multiplying to another t gives me 4 t's being multiplied together. Okay, then I got to take t cubed multiplied to the 2. Well, that's just going to give me positive 2t cubed. Okay, now I need to take my second term, multiply it to everything inside. -3 times 2t, -6t. -3 times positive 2, -6. Last thing you need to check is to see if you can combine any like terms. Okay, well I see a lot of t's here, but this one's to the 4th power, that one's to the 3rd power, that one's to the 1st power, that one has no t's, so guess what? None of these are like terms, so that guy is simplified. Beautiful. Okay, on our last 4 examples of this section, you'll see that they're written kind of differently. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at number 5. What this is saying is it's saying plug your f of x function. Okay, so work from the inside out. We are plugging I think I just said f of x. Plug h of x into g of x. Okay, we're taking that h of x function and plugging it into our g of x. So what that means is I'm going to take my h of x, this entire function, think of it like a piece, and it has to plug into my g of x everywhere there's an x. So now this plugs in where there's an x and right there. So 2 places. So this is going to look kind of messy, but that's okay. Okay, let's go with it. Okay, so instead of x squared here, it becomes x minus 5 squared because I've replaced that x with h of x. Okay, then it becomes plus x, but instead of x, it's plus x minus 5. Okay, now, one step we need to do in order to simplify this guy. This piece right here, x minus 5 squared, what this is actually saying is x minus 5 times x minus 5. Let's go ahead and really quickly multiply this guy out. Okay, just like what we did, this is going to give me x squared minus 5x minus another 5x when I multiply these guys, and plus 25. Forgot to put my x there. Okay, then these guys are my like terms, so let's go ahead and just combine those guys. So now I have x squared, -5 minus 5 more, -10x plus 25. Okay, well now I'm just going to bring this piece down. Remember that positive sign doesn't change those signs, so it just stays positive x minus 5. Okay, long expression here. Just see where there are some like terms that we can combine. Okay, I see some x's I can combine, -10 plus 1, and I see some constants, 25 minus 5. X squared is going to stay in front, right? He has the highest power, so we have x squared. My x's are going to come next. -10 plus 1 gives me -9. 25 minus 5 gives me positive 20. And there's my new function when I took h of x and I plugged it into g of x. Kind of messy, just is a matter of plugging it in, then simplifying it out. Okay, so let's try that one again. Okay, so this time, again, work from the inside out. It's saying take g of t and plug it into f of t. Okay, that means I'm taking g of t, that entire function, and I'm plugging it into f of t everywhere there is a t. Okay, thankfully here there's only one spot where there's a t. So this becomes, instead of 3 times t, it becomes 3 times that whole function, t squared plus 5t, and that plus 2 on the end. Okay, not as many steps as number 5, which is good. All we got to do is take this 3, distribute it in there, multiply. 3 times t squared becomes 3t squared. 3 times 5t becomes 15t. Then I have my plus 2 on the end. Check and see if there are any like terms we can combine. Okay, there are not, so we're going to go ahead and call that simplified. Okay, beautiful. Alrighty, let's go ahead and do number 7 and 8. These guys are a little different. Okay, so this time it is saying we are taking now a number and we are going to plug it into a function, and then we're going to take whatever number we get out of that function and plug it into our second function here. Okay, so we are taking 8, working from the very inside out. We're taking 8 and we are going to plug it into h, our h function. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to take 8, only plugging it into my h function. So this is going to become 4, and instead of n, it's now 4 times 8 minus 1. So I'm going to say this is h of 8 here, equals, little squished right there, sorry about that. Okay, but this becomes 4 times 8 is 32. 32 minus 1 is 31. Okay, so now I'm going to take that 31 and plug it into g function, right? Now we're going from the very outside. So I'm taking that 31 and plugging it into my g function. So now instead of 2 times n, this is g of 31 becomes 2 times 31 minus 2. Okay, and this is where we get our final answer, which is going to be a number. So 2 times 31 is 62 minus 2 gives me my final answer of 60. And there we go. Alrighty. Okay, let's try that again. Let's go to number 8. Again, work from the inside out. Okay, so we are taking -1 and we are plugging that -1 first into our g function. Okay, so just focusing on the g function. Instead of 4 times n, this becomes g of -1. So 4 times -1 minus 3. Okay, well 4 times -1 is -4. -4 minus 3 more gives me -7. So now this becomes the number. -7 becomes the number that I now plug into my f. Okay, alrighty. So now I'm going to take that -7 and I'm plugging it into my f function. So we'll say this is f of -7. Okay, and this becomes, instead of n squared, it's -7 squared plus 2, which is going to give us our final answer here, Negative 7 squared, or think negative 7 times negative 7, positive 49. Final step, add the 2, gives me my final answer of 51.